So I've recently had people tell me that it's kind of silly or a joke or whatever that we push unity as something that is an outcome of the league and grid league when we also, demonstrate or tell the story of how players might not like each other or want to beat each other or allow smack talk or allow things to happen that a percentage of the community doesn't approve of or doesn't like. And I wanted to take this opportunity just to kind of demonstrate or talk through a little bit how we think about unity in relation to the sport of Grid League and just in general, because ultimately, if you're going to move the needle in unity, you have to start with people that wouldn't be otherwise united. And that means they probably have different perspectives, they probably have different personalities that kind of conflict, think differently, that see the world differently, that wouldn't otherwise interact or wouldn't otherwise be united. And then through the league of Grid League, end up being united, even if in some way, because you don't have to necessarily like one another to be united in a characteristic. And this relates back to one of the core characteristics I'm about to get to. But if you haven't started with people that aren't united or wouldn't otherwise be united, you haven't done anything. So we have to communicate that. We have to demonstrate that. We have to show the reality of these competitors that are not all the same and they think differently and they, actually care about beating each other. And we want to show who they really are. So, and we have to tell that story to show how the effect is happening. So I'm going to get into all of the details, and there's a lot of them, as to why Grid League is freaking powerful when it comes to creating unity in people that wouldn't otherwise be unified. And I have some, great examples of that. But it all starts with this crazy story or really compelling story that a friend of mine told me. And it starts like this. I'm going to butcher the details. But he told me a little while back he was a high level baseball player. He was a catcher. He was on a baseball team, and his pitcher, or one of his pitchers, was somebody that he had a very personal conflict with. And it was related to a romantic relationship of his. Either, I don't know the details, she cheated on him with the pitcher, or she left him for the pitcher or something. But there was a very personal, strong dislike for one another. And they, couldn't really stand one another because of this friction that existed. And they're playing the game one day, and there's a pitch really far inside. No big deal. Well, another one comes inside, and the batter charges the mound. And so you think the catcher, who obviously hates the pitcher or has a strong disdain for the pitcher, would kind of see this as an opportunity for the pitcher to learn a lesson. Well, no, that's his teammate. He chased the batter down, tackled him, said, "Not my team," something to that nature. The point is, he overcame the personal conflict that he had with the pitcher because he remembered what it means to be on a team, or he felt that connection, what it means to be on a team. And that's a really powerful demonstration of what team sports can do. And there's very few things in the world that do this. In fact, most popular things in the world divide us. A few great examples: social media and politics. But team sports forces you to overcome the differences of all different kinds to be joined or united with people to battle for the same outcome. You link arms and you go for a common goal, despite your differences, despite the personal conflicts. Now, this is true of all team sports. So why is Grid League different? Well, Grid League, two things: has men and women together. This just broadens the possible reasons that there would be misunderstandings or different ways that there would be seeing the world. If you think back to some of the conflict in the league last year or in the off season, you recognize that that wouldn't have existed if we didn't have men and women together. And that's one of many examples. But men and women together broadens the range of personalities, ways of seeing the world, ways of reacting to things, general personality traits that are on a team that must be overcome to work towards a common goal. So not only is it related to gender, but it's also related to a wide range of roles on the team. So past skill sets, body types, general personalities and how you approach your discipline. So a strong man might very much approach their discipline differently than, a very small and agile gymnast, for example. And it might take very different personality types to develop those abilities. And again, this broadens the range of people, personalities, views that might have to be involved with the team to be successful. And you have to overcome it if you want to be a successful Grid League team. So we're demonstrating a base level of encouraging very different viewpoints and a lot of different people that would probably be incentivized to stay divided if it wasn't for this thing that they care about most. And that's winning on a Grid League team. So we have said from the beginning, Grid League, we see all the players, all the coaches, all the teams are one big team, Team Grid League. And it is normal for teammates to not necessarily hang out, to not necessarily love one another, not necessarily understand why or agree with the things that teammates do. And that's okay, that's normal. But what they do is look past that and overcome that and look for reasons to get on the same side of things so that they can work towards the same goal that they have. And I've seen this happen, mainly within teams, but also across teams where people that would have no reason to interact with each other otherwise and would probably dislike each other strongly and have very different viewpoints about things, break all of that down, understand each other better, and end up defending each other about things that they would normally think the opposite of prior to the experience of being in this league. And that really exemplifies what I'm talking about here, where we want people with a range of perspectives and a range of approaching things. And we want people that wouldn't normally interact with one another because that allows the broadest version of the opportunity for somebody to resonate with how a person is, a personality, a characteristic on a team, on a league, and say, that player reminds me of me, or I see something I respect and appreciate in that player. And the more similar everybody is, the less you have that opportunity. This is one of the core strengths of the sport, is that we're appealing to the broadest range of audience possible. Yes, most single gender sports cut your total addressable market in half by only having one gender or dramatically down, because you're always more likely to see a little bit of yourself in somebody that is also a woman or also a man that is playing a sport. But you also allow these dynamics that don't exist in other sports to play out and create all these different interesting storylines, in large part are demonstrating the conflicts that naturally exist and then how they overcome them. So we have to tell that story. We have to show when there is a conflict. If you don't have conflict, if you don't have adversity, you don't have a story. You can't tell a story if there's no adversity. Think that every famous story there is, they had to overcome something, and that's the fundamental component of a human story. And so we're telling the story of how the players really are. We're telling how they really interact, why they actually care about being on a team, why they care about winning, and who they are as people. And I don't necessarily agree with how everybody is and what they actually do. But when they step on that grid, they have my respect because they're on my team. They're on Team Grid League. And that means that as long as they're not harming my team, as long as they're not bringing my team down from winning, they're an important part of that team. And if other people on that team don't like what they do, well, that's a normal part of being on a team. And we need to figure out how to overcome that and come together. So that's the power of Grid League in one of many ways, but specifically around unity is why it's so powerful. And I think, based on the survey that we gave, a lot of people see an opportunity or would like more opportunities or more reasons for people to come together rather than be divided. So, I hope we continue to grow. I hope we continue to demonstrate a positive opportunity to the world of how it's okay to be different. It's okay to see the world different. But when you can find something that you're on the same page with somebody about and you care a ton about, it helps you understand them a little bit better. It doesn't mean you have to like them, but you can hopefully develop some respect that will break down some of those barriers. And if you are on the Grid League team with them together, you're much, much more likely to get to the point where even if you would have hated that person before, you have enough respect and enough mutual effort or mutual suffering together to allow you to come together in a way that you never would have before. So hopefully that helps demonstrate how we think about it. If we don't tell the stories, if we don't bring lots of different types of people together, we ain't creating unity. All right. So thanks so much for watching.